On this episode, Ryan Gresham takes over to tell you a little bit about what federal premiums got going on a hunt with JJ Reich.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
This Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by Ruger, Ruger.com, Range Ready Studios, and by Timney Triggers.
All right, welcome into Gun Talk Hunt. I'll be your guest host today because KJ's not here. We made him stay back at the headquarters, and I am actually getting to do a hunt. So we are in Illinois, and JJ Reich with Federal and other brands, all things ammo.
Yes. Mainly, Alliant Powder, which is cool, but Alliant Powder, Federal, CCI, HEVI-Shot, and Speer. And then I do help out with Remington as well.
What's it like? Because how long have you been there? It's been a while, right?
13 years.
Okay, good while.
Yeah.
What's it like to work for a brand where the customers have been using your product for generations?
Yeah, like lots of generations.
I mean, it's a wild thing. It's not like just a whatever. I just buy whatever toilet paper I have. I don't care.
Yes.
I mean, this is like we are a Federal family.
Yes.
Or, CCI mini mags changed, my childhood or whatever it is.
Right.
I mean, these are brands that mean a lot to people.
Yeah, so as you know, last year, which was 2022, Federal celebrated its 100th anniversary, and I had a lot to do with collecting that history and helping to present that history.
Yeah.
And we created a 104-page magazine, and then I did a 244-page coffee table book.
Holy smokes!
I have it here at Hunt Camp if you
Really?
want to see it.
I have
if
to
you
look at
haven't
that.
seen it yet, and so I spent about 2 years on that. We got a team of editors and writers and things like that. So, I didn't write it. I wrote some things, but we had editors and writers actually create it. But somebody, and that somebody was me, had to go and find all the stuff so that they had content to write about. So we spent years going through boxes of documents in the basement.
History.
Yes, we scanned every single catalog, every page from 1963 all the way till today.
Holy smokes.
And so we got tons and tons of content.
All right, so there's probably some stuff in there that you would come across and get a kick out of. Are there some things that come to mind that people would find interesting or surprising? Or, maybe it's products that were weird and maybe didn't go very far, but were fun to talk about, or stories with people using the product?
Yeah, we got a ton of that stuff, and some of that actually didn't make the book either because we just had to.
Yeah, you can't fit it all in.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I would say, back to your question about generations, the generations, that is what I was so excited to see, was the fact that, in 1925 we had this employee picture, and there was, I think, only 25 or 26 people in there.
Oh, wow.
But one of them, Margaret was her name. She was actually the great aunt of Ryan Gilligan, who works in our marketing department today. So
what?
Not only was there generations of people actually using our products for 100 years, there's generations of family members who worked at Federal.
Wow.
And then we did one story where there was a 4-generation family that worked there, that still work there. And so it's the whole 100-year history was just really unique as far as that goes. But as far as your question goes, as far as unique products, we did do a rimless 9mm. Did you know that?
Really?
In the 80s?
Rimless 9mm.
Yeah, I think we maybe ran a few boxes of it.
We tried it out.
Yeah, they didn't sell it very much. They did make it, and they did have some advertisements for it and things like that. It just never went.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
I knew we get a kick out of it because I have stuff going back to my dad and my grandfather, and I still will pull out ammo and go, man, look at this. This was something funny that was done or whatever. Yeah. So the reason we're in Illinois is we're doing a turkey hunt.
Yes.
Although there are monster deer behind us. Performance Outdoors.
Yes.
I mean, these guys really are focused on big deer.
Yeah, we were here last fall for deer.
Okay.
And when we were hunting deer, I saw turkeys all over the place. And I'm a turkey nut. And that's kind of, I like to hunt everything. But turkeys is my passion. Like that's, anyway, so I said, hey, do you guys do turkey hunts here? And they said, no, we don't do any turkey hunts really, but there's a lot of turkeys here. I said, yeah, so can we do a media hunt? Because especially at a place where they don't sell a lot of turkey hunts is a perfect, obviously a perfect spot to bring media in and really have a good time and some good adventures with it. So
yeah, absolutely.
So the deer are the reasons why we're here for the turkeys.
So you're to blame. You're the one that was like, well, guys, you have all these turkeys here.
Yes.
I mean, there's definitely some truth to people who are managing land to be good for wildlife and good habitat. They may be saying, well, I'm doing this for the deer, but then it benefits turkeys and other critters.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So you killed a turkey this morning.
Yes.
And I want you to tell us the story because you were hunting on your own, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So walk us through it.
Yeah. So basically, these guys scouted for turkeys for us. They set up some blinds and things like that. And on a big hunt like this, where I think we have 10 hunters now, or is it? Yeah, it's 10 hunters. And they have multiple properties, and we're in 3 different counties because they're trying to spread us out so we had better chances to get tags on the draw and things like that. But anyway, I always think that it's a good idea to just kind of spread it out. Like you go one place, and Dale went to another place, and I went another place, just so that we could spread our eyes and ears around the different farms. So
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, just figure out what's going on. The first day is the best, just to kind of figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of group up together, or if we hear some birds, and you didn't hear any birds, then maybe the next day you could go to where I heard them.
Yeah.
So we basically just separated. And Hunter is one of our guides. He's aptly named Hunter, right? So, but that's his
he couldn't
name.
help it. This was what he was going to be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like his parents already knew. But anyway, so he's one of the guys. He's also a caretaker of the property here. He set up the blind and said, I know there's some turkeys in this field. And they typically are there every year. And so just sit in the blind. And for me, that's what I was going to do. I was just going to go in the blind. I was going to sit there. I was going to stay there till 9 o'clock. I had 9 o'clock kind of in my mind before I started wandering around. And I was just going to listen. I wasn't going to call much. I was just going to listen and just watch and just see what's in that area. And then you went on a different property, so you got to see and hear what birds are there.
We went on a really cool property they call the Tennessee 240 acres. But you think, I guess I was thinking, 240 acres, not a giant piece of property, but so many different elements to this property. You had cut cornfields, you had food plots, you had these bottoms like hollers that were just steep with little fingers coming off of them. Go down to the bottom. We're in this kind of almost wet, marshy area along this river bed. I mean, really cool. But you got the turkeys put on a show for you.
Yes, yep. And then Dale went on a different farm, and so he saw a bunch. He heard a bunch of birds. But so I was when I sat in that blind, they started gobbling off behind me, but it was pretty far off. Like I knew that those birds were pretty far off, but I also kind of knew where they might be based on our hunt stand maps and the guys explaining to us the terrain yesterday and where they think the birds might be. So by hearing those birds, they were way too far off for me, but I didn't care because I knew that they were going to be on that ridge like the guys thought they would. So now I can come back to camp and say, yeah, those birds were on that ridge. So tomorrow maybe some people can go in there. So I kind of ignored all the gobbling that was behind me. I did hear one off to my left, and that was closer, but that sounded like a Jake gobble.
And a young turkey.
Yes. And then I heard a couple of big gobblers way off, like 500-600 yards in front of me. and right in front of me, way off, was a farmhouse there.
Okay.
So, and those birds were in his yard, basically. They were in the big tree behind one of his pole sheds.
They were roosting on his
Yes.
property.
And I could hear them gobbling there.
Very cool.
So then around 7:30, all the birds were down. 3 hens came in to the field, and at this point I'm just watching them. They're 600 yards away, but I'm watching from the binoculars. And then the strutter comes in, and I said, oh, there's a strutter. Looked up in the binoculars, it was a jake. So it was a jake strutting, which is pretty cool to see. And then he had a buddy who was not strutting. It was just one of his buddies, I guess, or brother or whatever.
He wasn't the confident
No, he was
teenager.
not the no, he was not the overeager one. And then I saw emerge from the yard, walk right by the propane tank and the trampoline that they had in their yard, and I'm looking through binoculars. They landed, and walked right through the yard all the way into the field, and then they basically chased off the jakes. They kind of round up the 3 hens, and then they just kind of forced them and took them off into the woods. So then I'm like, okay, well, that was a fun show. And then I waited maybe 45 minutes later, and those jakes came back. And I had 2 decoys in front of me, and I think that those birds could see the decoys way across the field. So that strutter jake came in, and he saw the decoys. He didn't want to come any closer, but his buddy then came out of the woods and followed him. And then now there's 2 jakes, so now they're more confident, so they come in.
Strength in numbers.
Yes, and I did have a jake and a hen, so the 2 jakes against the 1 jake is what I was thinking. And they just walked up and just they didn't even push the jake or anything. They just kind of strutted in front of him, and obviously it's a decoy, so it didn't do anything. And then they just kind of got bored, and then they just walked off. But they were in my decoys for, I don't know, 20 minutes or half.
I gotta say, you're a patient guy, because I mean, we heard gobbles. We started, hitting the call, and I guess we probably gave it an hour, and then we're like, all right, let's go find them and go walk around.
Yeah, well,
Patience paid off this time.
Like I said, I said I was going to sit there till 9 o'clock, so I wasn't going to move until 9. And this was again around 7:30 or so.
Yeah.
Then they went off, and then those, and I don't want to be the person to say that I think it's the same, it's the same turkeys that I saw earlier, but I believe it was. I think those 2 toms, whatever with the hens, and then they came back out around the same area where those jakes came out, and they did the same things with the jake. They just walked up, saw my decoys, and then they slowly walked in. And that was a long time to wait for them to because they were really slow. They were walking.
They weren't beelining it to the decoys.
No, they weren't that hot. Like, they were interested, but they weren't. I think some turkeys at any point in the season, every turkey is going to get really hot and just beeline in, or be kind of crazy and do something stupid. These guys are pretty cautious.
Yeah.
They were coming in, but they weren't mad. They weren't that hot. So I figured that they would just come on in, but after when they were about 50 yards away from me, they kind of slowed down and just started strutting back and forth and didn't come any closer.
Yeah.
And I could have been more patient. In fact, I should have been more patient. But I was also shooting TSS, and I have shot this stuff, and I have a good red dot. I have a lot of practice. I mean, I shoot at the practice range.
You guys have a range at work?
Yes. We have a bunch of ranges in the basement of the Federal Factory.
Okay.
And I've shot a lot of turkey loads in the basement of the Federal Factory. So I knew that I wasn't going to have a problem shooting this turkey at 50 yards. I would have liked to shoot it closer, but at the same time, I didn't want to wait any longer.
Did it feel like he would kind of held up? He wasn't going to come in?
And he could have came in too if I would have waited longer. But I was on a Primos trigger stick. I had a red dot. I had TSS. I had lots of practice. I was very confident in the shot. So I took the shot and got a turkey. So
50 yards. And people who are turkey hunters know TSS. I mean, it's kind of become like the name brand of turkey loads.
Yes.
I mean, it's a game changer.
Yep.
For people who aren't aware of it, and they go, 50 yards sounds pretty far for a shotgun shot. Talk about what TSS is and what it does.
Yeah, so TSS is actually a product name. So there's a manufacturer of this specific shot, and they sell to everybody. They sell to Federal, Remington, Winchester. They sell to HEVI-Shot. They sell to everybody. So it's just the specific name of their product. And TSS stands for Tungsten Super Shot. So tungsten is a metal alloy. Tungsten is the main ingredient of that metal, but then there's some other things.
Right.
I think tin is in there and some other things like
Yeah,
some other
because
metals.
tungsten can be kind of brittle.
Yes. Yeah.
So they add some other
Not-
metals in there.
Yeah, not as brittle as, well, bismuth can definitely be brittle, but tungsten, it can just be, well, first of all, it's also pretty expensive. So to put in some other metals in there kind of helps that cost. But Tungsten Super Shot, that's the name of the product. And if you weighed that, so if you took a cubic centimeter, so take a cube of tungsten or TSS and weigh it, it would be 18 grams per cc.
Yeah.
So per cubic centimeter. Now, let's compare that to lead. So lead is going to be 11.2 grams per cc.
So really what we're talking about is density.
You're talking about density, yes. And then steel is 7.6.
Yeah.
So steel is really,
And I
really
think
light.
you had a comparison, or maybe I heard somebody say it, wiffle ball.
Yeah, yes,
How
I
do you
would
say
say
that?
that. Yes, yep, I wrote that. Yeah, so basically, if you were going to, if somebody said you had to stand against the wall and someone was going to whip a ball at you, what would you choose? Would you choose a hard ball, a baseball, or a tennis ball, or a racket ball, or a wiffle ball?
Yeah.
People are going to choose the wiffle ball because
Yeah.
it's just a light material and it's not going to hurt that much. And so that's the thing, is that when you're shooting the pellet that is a very dense hard pellet, it's going to carry its penetration energy longer, it's going to carry its velocity longer, and it's going to hit hard.
Yeah.
And then what's also cool about TSS is that if you compare it to the shot size of lead, because it's so dense, you can have a smaller pellet size and be really similar to a larger lead pellet.
So you're getting like apples to apples, right? You're getting similar ballistics as far as, with a TSS 9-shot. Is that what
Yes.
we're shooting? 9-shot?
Yep. So you
Which
could go.
sounds really small for a turkey.
It's very small, but it would give you similar apples to apples, like you're saying. Well, nothing's apples to apples, but it would be similar to shooting a lead number 6.
Wow.
So it's 3 shot sizes is the difference.
And you could load it with number 6 TSS, but you don't need to, is what you're saying.
No, and
It's like you can go down and have more pellets.
if you loaded a number 6, it'd be like you're shooting a size number 3.
Yeah.
And traditionally turkey hunting has always been the 4s, 5s, or 6s.
Right.
That's as big as you go is a 4. In fact, that's a lot of state laws. You can't get anything bigger than that for some reason. But anyway, yeah. So 4, 5, or 6 means that if you do the shot size, that means in TSS you're looking at 7, 8s, or 9s.
Right.
And the reason why a smaller pellet is so great is several things. One, would you rather be, if you're going to get stabbed by something, would you rather be stabbed by a needle, or would you rather be stabbed by like a dull knife? So the surface area of the pellet can penetrate and it can penetrate better or easier. And then also more pellets. Yeah. So if you're loading a shot shell with 1 1/4 ounce, if you're using size number 6s, you're going to get a lot less than if you're using size number 9s.
Sure.
Lots of pellets with lots of penetration energy and velocity potential in a hull.
It's a cloud of pellets. So talk about what load are we using?
So we're just using a standard 3-inch hull, so a 3-inch shot shell.
Yeah.
And I believe that has 1.5 ounces of number 9s.
Okay.
And so I'd have to look at pellet count, but I think you're anywhere in between. Oh man, we're probably at like 400 pellets or so in that. So, I'd have to go back and look. But
and at 30 yards, you're I mean, it's all, you know, right there on the bird.
I do know one quick data fact or stat. So like 410, like a 410 shot shell, right? That is going to be, typically it's 13/16 of an ounce, okay? So in that load, if you're using number 9s, you're gonna have 254 pellets is your average in a little 410, okay? Now you take a 3-inch number 5 turkey load that people have been shooting turkeys for 50 years, and that's gonna have 258 pellets. Okay. So a number 5 compared to number 9, you know, 12 gauge load, number 5, with 258 pellets is comparable to a 410 load with TSS at 254 pellets. So you have a 4 pellet shortage basically.
Wow.
But so now that's why 410s are so popular, because they've got that same potential as what 12 gauges used to have, or, you know, lead loads.
It's game changer stuff. JJ, we're going to take a quick break. After that, I want to talk about some of the other hunting loads you guys are promoting right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
Ruger.com, the SFAR, 6.7 pounds of an AR-10, so 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor, all packaged in about the size of a regular AR-15. So what does that do for you? It's lighter weight to carry in the field, and it's more powerful, which I've been in situations where a herd of hogs come in about 20 strong, and I'm sitting there with a lightweight shooter. Basically, I'm hunting, you know, coyotes or something like that, and I wish I had a little bit more power. Well, the Ruger SFAR gives me everything I want and more power, so check it out, Ruger.com. Range Ready Studios. So we have some classes coming up that I think you'll be interested in. We've got here at Range Ready Studios the ladies-only handgun class. So ladies, if you're out there, if you're listening, men, if you're out there and listening, and your wife wants to do some training, not with you, okay, not with you, this is a ladies-only handgun class, send them out here. Send them a week in New Orleans. Her and some friends, come on out here. You can find out more at rangereadystudios.com. I swear you will enjoy it. Your wife will enjoy it. Hey, have the buddies over for a card game, right? Okay. Now, Timney triggers. Okay, Remington 700. I've got one of these in my gun. It's the Remington 700 hit trigger. Adjustable. And you know what? I'm looking on here. 40 reviews, all 5 stars. And that seems a little light to me, because I think that these 40 people just had more time than the thousands of people that have them in their guns. But it's lifetime warranty. It's an adjustable trigger. I like to keep mine around 3.5 pounds. So the reason I do that is because I get a better trigger press, and it almost surprises me when it goes off because it's so light. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. So check it out, timneytriggers.com. And guess what? The best part of all, just like most all the Timney triggers, you don't have to be a gunsmith to put it in. So find out more, timneytriggers.com.
So JJ, I know we're out here for turkeys, and turkey loads are interesting. You also brought some coyote loads in case.
Yes.
Talk about those.
Yeah, so HEVI-Shot is really well known in the industry for just having some really, you know, powerful loads. And again, that's tungsten, right? Yeah. So that is their main, basically HEVI-Shot loads steel, they load bismuth, and they load tungsten.
Right.
But the tungsten loads in their Predator loads are just really awesome. And the tungsten that they're using there, that's a alloy, right? So it's 12 grams per cc. So it's not tungsten super shot, which is 18 grams per cc.
And what did you say lead was?
Lead is 11.2.
Okay, so it's a little bit denser than lead.
Correct. It's a little bit denser than lead, but with like a double-aught buck or a T-shot, it is devastating on coyotes.
I grabbed a box of that T-shot. I'd be interested to shoot that. I'd kind of be interested to pattern it, but I certainly would love to shoot a coyote with it.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that's really interesting. Now, what do you think, like, the range on something like that out of a shotgun would be?
50 yards.
Yeah?
Yeah. because the pellets are so big that they're definitely going to carry their penetrate. Even if it's the alloy of 12 grams per cc, it's going to carry its penetration energy and velocity downrange really far because of how big those pellets are.
Yeah. You guys have all these different brands. What other things that are kind of out right now that maybe people, if they weren't paying attention, stuff you guys are kind of promoting from SHOT Show to NRA Show and new things for hunters?
So, we definitely jumped on board of that 360 buck hammer.
Yeah.
I'm sure you talked, you know about that.
Yeah.
And talked to Remington about that.
Yeah, I think it's a cool cartridge, and it seems like it's getting some legs.
Yes.
People are liking it.
It's just a bigger bullet, a heavier bullet than a straight wall cartridge, and designed for lever guns. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be other guns that aren't lever guns that are going to be chambered in it. That's kind of a big hint.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I mean, the easiest thing to do is put it in a single shot rifle.
That'd be great.
That's not hard to do, and anything like CBA or traditions. So something like that might happen. But Illinois, again, and we're here for this hunt in Illinois, they just changed their laws to allow for some straight wall cartridges this year.
Okay. How many states are straight wall states now?
It's mostly Midwest, some of the Midwestern states, so I don't know.
Five
I
or
think
six,
it's something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you shot it? Have you shot anything with it?
No, I have not, but I plan to. I definitely plan to. And we'll probably come back here in the fall for deer for that. It's a big year for Illinois to actually have that. I think there's a lot of people who are gonna celebrate that fact and buy new guns and
because it was always shotgun state.
It was always slugs, or muzzleloader.
Wow.
So
that's a game changer for those hunters.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit, and I know it's not, you don't work for them, it's not your brand, but I was interested about Quiet Cat.
Yes. Yep.
Quiet Cat is here. Actually, the guys who own Performance Outdoors, this operation, they had founded Quiet Cat. So if you're not familiar with Quiet Cat, they're e-bikes, right? So they're bicycles, but they've got a motor, and they're somewhere between a electric motorcycle and a bicycle.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of like the old time pictures of that somebody took a bicycle and put like a washing machine motor on it, and turned their bicycle into a motorcycle. That's
that would, and this is a bit more elegant, but it is.
Yes.
I'll be honest. Look, when I was looking to come to this, I'd never messed with the Quiet Cats, and I was like, I'll look this up, and I look at it and go, I get it. It's an e-bike. I'm like, I mean, what would be the application of this? Because I'm thinking, you could buy a four-wheeler, and they're not inexpensive. But I will say, we got the demo last night, got to use them today. I am impressed, and I'm not kidding. I am impressed. They're really easy to use. They're super useful. Mine has like a basket on the back, so you can put all your gear in it. They have a little buggy trailer thing, and you're kind of moving through the woods in stealth mode. You're just very quiet.
Yeah. So what I shot a turkey this morning, and then Nolan from Quiet Cat said, "All right, well, I'm going to come out there and help you take pictures." And I said, "Oh, that's great." And I just kind of waited for him, and then I kind of saw some movement out of the corner of my eye, and I look over there, and there he is on his bike coming through the field, and I couldn't hear him, I just saw him.
Yeah.
So typically, if a vehicle is going to come pick you up from a blind or anything like that, and it's an ATV or a truck, you hear it coming.
Oh, everybody knows that. Like,
it's like
here it comes.
The ATV's going to come pick me up. Didn't hear him. I saw him first. So right there, it clicked for me. Like, wow. Like I can't hear this guy, but I could see him come.
Yeah.
And he was on the field, and then he came across like this kind of this patch of swampy kind of CRP land. I'm like, oh, he's probably going to go around that, but nope. He just went right through that. Yep. The amount of terrain that you can go through on these bikes is amazing. And it's just it's quiet, like the product, hints to the fact, and it's you can maneuver it really well, and it's just I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I was impressed, and we did the same thing. We went through some little bogs and some muck, and it went through it. I
Yep.
mean, I think at one point I kind of sunk down a little bit, and it wasn't the bike's fault. It was just I went in a hole that was maybe too deep.
Yeah.
Also, reduced scent, right? So
Yes.
if you're a guy, a hunter who's serious about scent control, driving a gasoline powered vehicle, I mean, you're gonna leave scent, right?
Yep, and walking. I drove the bike when deer hunting. I drove the bike right to my stand, put it underneath the stand, and so I never even, besides the little bit of ground that I used to step from the bike to the ladder, I wasn't walking in any of the woods. So none of my scent was there.
That's interesting.
So that was cool. The other thing is the fact of running and gunning. Running and gunning is a big terminology in turkey hunting, and what it means is, walking through the woods, calling every 100 yards. If something gobbles, it's probably close. You sit down and then you keep calling, and hopefully it comes. Well, bikes, these e-bikes have a whole nother, add a whole nother realm to running and gunning, because you can cover so much with a lot less sweat.
Big time.
Or an effort.
We went around our 240 acres at least like 2.5 times.
Wow.
There would be no way that we could have done that walking. We could have done it once, probably.
Yep.
We would have done a big loop and done it once in the morning. We had from whatever it was, 5 until 1 o'clock, where you had to stop hunting. But the e-bikes, the Quiet Cat, it made that possible. And even, in fact, where we saw a turkey, we didn't get the turkey, he kind of went the other way. Hours later, I said, it was the other end of the property. I said, we got an hour. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back over there and see if we can, catch up with him. And it wasn't a big deal to get down there, and you still had 30 minutes of hunting left. And
Right.
we sat there and got set up. I didn't get a turkey yet, but that's coming.
So we were on this farm, and it's a big farm, and Dale, he was running gun on the bike, and he basically run and gun the entire farm. And then there was another farm, and we're like, all right, well, we'll just put the bike in the truck, went over to the other farm, he took the bike off, and then he ran and, run and gunned that whole farm. you know? And I don't think he wouldn't have got 2 farms in if he didn't have that bike, and we were just walking that for sure.
So that's a good point. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm thinking of uses for this. And KJ, we may have to be using these in Oklahoma. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they are awesome. I'm definitely gonna get one for my property in Wisconsin. It's a no-brainer. Even if you're just gonna run out a blind, or run out some decoys, and and walk there later or whatnot, or just setting some things up.
Yeah, that's cool. JJ, thanks for being on with us.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, I've always wanted to hunt with you and hang out with you, and so I'm really, really happy that this is happening. So
me too.
It's cool.
I'm trying to become a turkey hunter.
Well, we've been at other events together before and stuff like that, but just sharing turkey camp with you is really cool. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's it for us, guys. We will see you next time on Gun Talk Hunt. To see all of Gun Talk's content, go to guntalk.com, guntalktv.com, or sign up for the Gun Talk newsletter.